Shen Zhijin drove to pick me up. The man, always aloof and ascetic, actually allowed his new secretary to sit in his passenger seat. I knew this marriage was beyond saving. That day when Shen Zhijin drove to pick me up, I froze as he opened the passenger door. A young pretty girl sat there smiling sweetly at me. "Hello, sister-in-law," she greeted politely, yet made no move to yield the seat. My eyes narrowed as I turned to Shen Zhijin, who was lowering his eyes to answer a call, oblivious to the undercurrent. We had planned to attend an auction together. I dressed meticulously for this date, only to find another woman in his passenger seat. "Hello, sister-in-law. I'm Bai Luoluo, Mr. Shan's new assistant," the girl chirped, dimples deepening with her overly warm smile. "I heard you're going to a private auction tonight, so I begged Mr. Shen to take me along to broaden my horizons. Don't worry, I won't disturb you." My heart plummeted. I knew this cold, perfect man too well. He'd always kept people at a distance, never letting others near easily. We'd married out of practicality, choosing each other after careful consideration. Outsiders joked I'd be a widow in marriage. Yet after we confirmed our relationship, Shen Zhijin would hold me tenderly, his eyes flushing when we were intimate. "You're my wife," he said. "We're one. You're different from anyone else." Something felt different today. But I was no shrinking violet. I was Xia Qing, who never swallowed her anger for others' sake. "Get out," I snapped coldly, sparing no courtesy. The girl froze, unprepared for such blunt humiliation on first meeting. Perhaps my tone was too harsh. Bai Luoluo stumbled, tears welling. "Sorry, sister-in-law," she choked, retreating to the back seat in disgrace. Shen Zhijin finished his call and looked over, instantly recognizing my anger. His face softened into resignation and indulgence. The man leaned over to fasten my seatbelt. Noticing the adjusted position, I readjusted it with palpable irritation. The fuss left me seething. Damn it! Who dares touch my passenger seat? The car's atmosphere froze. The girl dared not speak. Shen Zhijin's brow furrowed. "If you're not in the mood today, we can go home first," he suggested calmly. In the rearview mirror, the woman silently wept. I snapped. "Bai Luoluo, right? I'm not in the mood anymore. Take a taxi back. We're going home." The girl paled, glancing at Shen Zhijin for help. He offered none, and she exited dejectedly. Shen Zhijin would never embarrass me in public. He knew how to rein in emotions. Suggesting we resolve things at home was our years-long tacit understanding. "She's just a college graduate. Why stoop to her level?" he murmured, pulling me into his arms. For the first time, Shen Zhijin seemed confused. "What do you mean for the first time? You've never let another woman sit in your passenger seat before." The man hadn't expected this to bother me. Everyone knew how exceptional Shen Zhijin was. Countless women adored him. Yet he'd remained untarnished, a paragon of restraint. He smiled, ruffling my hair. "So you can get jealous." He leaned in to kiss me, tip of the nose and eyelid brushing my cheek. "She's the help, nothing more. There's nothing between us." Holding my face, he met my gaze solemnly. A woman's sixth sense is never wrong. Even from one meeting, I sensed this girl had ulterior motives for Shen Zhijin. I thought my first encounter's warning would suffice, but the auction necklace meant for me was around her neck the next day. Xiao He, Shen Zhijin's chief assistant, sent me a photo and a WeChat screenshot. The curved diamond necklace glittered against Bai Luoluo's fair neck, making her look even more delicate. Her eyes were red, yet she smiled. No doubt she'd wept all night and received compensation. The screenshot showed her post. "The president said girls must stay strong when wronged." Wiping my tears, "Yes, sir." Oh, with fist-raising emojis and a photo of the necklace in its box. For a moment I felt ice in my veins. Hard as it was to admit, I was rattled, close to losing my composure. It was an awful feeling. Like a cherished white handkerchief stained with mosquito blood. A jarring, unpleasant metaphor. I even fantasized about flooring my yellow Ferrari at 180 miles per hour to slap that woman across the face. But looking at my own hands, I scoffed. Letting a cheap green tea get to me was beneath me. I called one at Hermes. Her voice brimmed with barely contained excitement. "Mrs. Shen, don't worry. I'll empty Shanghai if I have to today. I'll get all the goods ready and delivered to you personally." Thus, before the day's work ended, apart from Bai Luoluo, all 46 female employees in the Shen Group headquarters, including assistants to all executives and staff in the general manager's office, received generous gifts from the president's wife. Hermes necklaces worth 120,000 yuan. Though each necklace's unit price paled next to the 2 million yuan auction necklace, the sheer number ensured fairness. Xiao He, Yunhua in handling matters, instructed everyone to post about the gifts on social media with the caption, "From the president's wife," adding, "Every girl deserves better. Clench your fists and obey, my president's wife." The delighted recipients readily complied. As the company's gossip epicenter, these assistants and staff enthusiastically shared posts with beaming photos. Some shrewd ones even added, "The president's wife sure knows how to make an impression." Though their individual influence might be limited, their gossip-spreading power across departments was formidable. Within half an hour, the entire company knew the president's wife had gifted Hermes necklaces, sparking heated debates among gossip circles. Bai Luoluo turned pale, seemingly deeply insulted. With red-rimmed eyes, she went to the restroom to remove the diamond necklace. Two colleagues entering to touch up their makeup gave her meaningful sneers. Overwhelmed with shame, she hurried out with burning cheeks, placing the necklace back in its box untouched to return to Shen Zhijin. Just after finishing a video call with partners, Shen Zhijin saw the clearly tearful girl clutching the necklace box, staring dejectedly at her toes. "What's wrong?" he asked in confusion. Before she could speak, tears spilled from Bai Luoluo's eyes. She sobbed pitifully. "Mr. Shen, please take this necklace back. I dare not accept it." A hint of displeasure crossed Shen Zhijin's stern face. Drujia told him something had happened, but he waited silently for her to speak. Bai Luoluo hesitated before confessing everything that had occurred in the office, ending with a whisper. "I'm sorry, Mr. Shen, for always causing trouble. I just posted a Pengyo Chen to encourage myself. I didn't expect Madam to be so angry." Like a vulnerable Xiaobai tool, she added, "I want to apologize to Madam and explain in person." Shen Zhijin never made a habit of checking social media. But as CEO, he knew well the company's rumor-mongering culture. His already cold expression grew icier. "I understand," he said gravely. That night he brought Bai Luoluo home. The timid girl stood behind him as he sighed. "I asked Luoluo to clarify things in person. She's just my secretary. I gave her a gift yesterday as an apology, nothing more." Stirring my spoon through the bird's nest soup the maid had prepared, I listened as Bai Luoluo bowed earnestly. "I'm sorry, madam. This is the first expensive gift I've ever received. I was so excited I lost my head. If I upset you, please tell me, and I'll correct it immediately." Raising an eyebrow, I asked, "Bai Luoluo, right?" She glanced at Shen Zhijin as if seeking courage before nodding. Amused by her lit. "A newborn calf is not afraid of the tiger attitude in challenging me," I replied. "I'm not your teacher or supervisor. No time to teach you manners. But as Shen Zhijin's wife, I won't tolerate anyone flirting with my husband. They won't get a second chance." Her face turned even more awkward, crumbling into fragility. Knowing my temperament, Shen Zhijin made no excuses for her, but hoped I'd let go of my misgivings. We understood each other without words. I'd give him this chance since he hadn't cheated, but there would be no next time. "You didn't need to attack a girl like that," Shen Zhijin mentioned later as I styled my hair before the vanity. "You should have told me first." Gazing at his reflection, I retorted, "You knew I loved that necklace yet gave it to another woman. Isn't it natural for me to be angry? Can you imagine still loving someone perfect if they were tainted?" He calmly poured himself ice water. "She cried all night over your misunderstanding. I gave her the necklace this morning as an apology. No hidden motives." His marble-time Andrew Jan taps awaited my response. This was our first emotional conflict over a third party, exhausting us both with its breach of our mutual emphasis on dignity. "I love you, Shen Zhijin," I said suddenly, surprising him. "I love the untarnished version of you. That's your uniqueness. You used to keep women at a distance because of your emotional GP wanting a clean marriage. You changed my values. Now we share the same goal. A marriage without detours." He sighed. "I haven't." Understanding his boundaries, I trusted he'd crush any illusions Bai Luoluo might have. Without his patronage, the intern had to start from basic tasks. Previously eligible for reception desk rotations, she was now excluded from schedules by Xiao He. I'd given no orders to ostracize her, but workplace sycophancy needed no prompting. Within 2 weeks, the new secretary had shrunk from the Luocha in status and morale. The turning point came after a key executive meeting. Bai Luoluo, alone cleaning the small conference room, knelt in a suit scraping gum from the carpet with a blade. Shen Zhijin, returning unexpectedly, witnessed this. She scrambled up Injung Po, tears falling unbidden before his intense gaze. No act, just genuine humiliation before the man she adored but could never reach. Once cheerful, she'd become this fragile shell in 2 weeks. For the first time, Shen Zhijin lost his temper. At home, he slammed the water glass I offered onto the floor. "Why won't you leave her alone? Xia Qing, I respect and love you. But what pleasure do you get from bullying the vulnerable?" I remembered his middle school sister's suicide from bullying during his studies abroad, a wound that made him loathe such cruelty. "Xia Qing, never let me see you hurt others like this again, or I won't stand by." For the first time in our marriage, he'd raged at me over a woman and an act I hadn't committed. It felt like shattering glass, irreversible. Shen Zhijin promoted Bai Luoluo to his personal assistant and fired Xiao He, his 7-year chief assistant, for abusing power to bully colleagues. As Xiao He left dejected, colleagues tearfully bid him farewell. Shen Zhijin and I entered an unprecedented Cold War. He stayed in a hotel, sending Bai Luoluo to collect his things. The maid, following orders, packed his luggage. Before leaving, Bai Luoluo timidly said, "Madam, Mr. Shen asked me to add you as a contact." I snapped, "Tell him to stay away." Her confused yet delighted expression said it all. The maid urged me to reconcile, but I refused. Why should I apologize? Shen Zhijin never returned, but Bai Luoluo's circle of friends overflowed with their travels. Chanel couture, private equity gala invitations, summit fireworks, Burj Al Arab nights, Xiaoheying. Each post marveled at life's firsts with the right person, garnering hundreds of likes and suggestions to start a Douyin channel. Mutual friends sent me screenshots with subtle queries. Once, I'd accompanied Shen Zhijin to such events. Now his constant date was her. I thanked them politely while privately consulting Xia Group accountants on property division. A massive task involving cross-shareholdings, family funds, and overseas assets I barely remembered. One day, Shen Zhijin called from a business trip. "Mother wants us for dinner." We acted as if nothing had happened. In the car, he and Bai Luoluo sat in the back, leaving me the front seat, a smirking slight. I laughed at my plight but silently accepted it. Shen Zhijin's icy demeanor filled the car. "We just got back from Manhattan, madam," Bai Luoluo chattered, "and bought gifts for the old Furun." Matured by her time with him, she still prattled. I closed my eyes, ignoring her. She fell silent. Shen Zhijin's lips remained tightly shut. The car ride remained silent. Mrs. Shen looked surprised to see Bai Luoluo, who greeted and introduced herself with practiced ease, clearly adept at flattering others. Within moments, she had Mrs. Shen laughing warmly. At the dinner table, Bai Luoluo chatted with Mrs. Shen about amusing incidents from Shen Zhijin's work, prompting smiles and approving nods. When Mrs. Shen asked about his daily life, Bai Luoluo seamlessly took over, creating an oddly strained atmosphere. Sensing the sudden chill despite her dimpled smile, Bai Luoluo realized her mistake. Discussing personal life was my role. Mrs. Shen was no fool. Shen Zhijin stayed silent as I elegantly set down my utensils. "Mom, I'm pregnant," I said. "Ah, really? This is wonderful news, Ching Ching." Mrs. Shen's eyes lit up. "When did this happen?" The man who had worn a cold expression since picking me up showed rare emotion. I arched a brow mischievously. "Just confirmed yesterday. The doctor said it's been 3 weeks." As Mrs. Shen joyfully prepared to call the family doctor and rambled about accompanying me to the hospital tomorrow, Bai Luoluo interjected with feigned innocence. "Sister-in-law, could you have miscalculated the timing? Mr. Shen and I have been on overseas business trips these past 2 months." Mrs. Shen froze. "No mistake," I emphasized, 3 weeks. I specifically consulted Professor Fong, a renowned obstetrician. Shen Zhijin knew perfectly well he hadn't been home during this period. The child was not his. His earlier warmth vanished instantly, a storm brewing behind his tightly controlled exterior as he awaited an explanation. I smiled triumphantly. "Congratulations, Shen Zhijin. I'm going to be a mother." "Stop this nonsense," he said coldly. I placed the pre-prepared pregnancy report on the table. "Unfortunately, it's not a joke. While you were working abroad with your lover, I got lonely and reconnected with some old flames. Now I don't know who the father is. If you don't mind, he can call you Dad. But he'll take my last name." With each word, his face paled further. "Enough," he finally snapped when I finished. I ignored his fury. "How does it feel to be cuckolded, Shen Zhijin? Did you ever expect me to cheat so publicly and announce I'm carrying another man's child?" "I never cheated on you," he hissed, knuckles white. "We were just working. Nothing crossed the line." I stroked my belly, dismissing his belated defense. "Your secretary flaunts your work trips on social media daily. Even our friends noticed and warned me. You call that not crossing the line? You take her to stargazing dinners, and I can't discuss philosophy with other men." His rare anger left me indifferent, even regretful he hadn't brought a lover home to match today's provocation. Convinced his relationship with Bai Luoluo was innocent, Shen Zhijin only meant to teach me a lesson. Now baffled by our crumbling marriage, "Sister-in-law, Mr. Shen and I are innocent." Bai Luoluo rushed to defend herself before Mrs. Shen. Mrs. Shen called me about work, so I visited to facilitate communication. As his chief secretary, I must be thorough, but we've never crossed boundaries. Sitting beside Shen Zhijin, she added primly, "You wouldn't understand, office work requires professionalism. Professionalism like making the Zongcai sit in the front seat while you cozy up beside her husband?" I shot back. She flinched, speechless. Turning to Shen Zhijin, I added, "Xiao, he was your secretary for years too. Did he ever sit beside you?" He was far more thorough, and I never targeted him. His breath hitched, eyes reddening. "We're getting a divorce," I said as he dragged me home, leaving Bai Luoluo at the estate. It was his first return since Arlongjian. The house, our 3-year home, was stripped bare, even the servants dismissed. He froze, realizing my divorce plans were deliberate. "Xiaqing, I didn't cheat," he whispered hoarsely, clutching me. "Abort the child. Let's start over." I laughed bitterly. "My child, why would I abort him?" His despair told me, but I pushed on. "You knew sending Bai Luoluo to collect your things would hurt me. You let her provoke me, hoping I'd beg for mercy. You hate bullying the weak. But did you see how she deliberately tested my limits? Tears spilled as I recalled our broken marriage. You knew she liked you. I warned you, willful ignorance is deadlier than stupidity. He swayed, voice trembling. I'm sorry, Xiaqing. She reminded me of Zhijin. I feared you'd become like those who bullied her. Zhijin had dimples too. I never wanted her tears. His apology left me hollow. Maybe he was innocent, but I refused to hand my vulnerabilities to anyone who might wield them. He refused divorce, hiring a male chief assistant and drinking himself into stupors in the wine cellar. One night I carried his unconscious form to the sofa. As I turned to leave, he pulled me into a trembling embrace. Ching, don't leave. Keep the baby. I'll handle Bai Luoluo properly. Though he couldn't fire her without cause, his signaled her fall from grace. Once envied, now whispered about as a pariah. Bai Luoluo confronted me weeks later, her youth drained by exhaustion. I served you tea on my first day, she sneered. You ignored me while discussing wedding gifts with Mr. Shen. Born rich, you think you deserve him? That night at the auction, I told him it was impolite for staff to sit in the back. He didn't object. I sipped coffee calmly, unmoved by her hatred. You entitled brat, what right do you have to look down on me? You don't deserve his love, she raged. Do you? I countered, watching her unravel. Aren't you divorcing because I threatened you? No, because I cheated and conceived another man's child, as you know. Her face contorted. You're a washed-up, unemployed adulteress. He'll never want you. My slap silenced her. First, I'm 2 years younger than him. Second, how dare you call my child bastard? Third, this was long overdue, you fool. At 4 months pregnant, under Shen group pressure, Shen Zhijin signed the divorce papers. Our prenup was airtight. Shared assets were neatly divided. He looked like a fallen phoenix, wings bloodied. As we bid each other a dignified farewell, the baby was born family name Xia, assumed premature by outsiders. My parents pressed for the father's identity, but the one-night stand story was a lie. They didn't need the truth. Raising a grandson as their heir, they stopped urging me to remarry. As the boy grew, his resemblance to Shen Zhijin became undeniable. Divorce suited me. Carefree years followed, dating handsome young men. I heard Bai Luoluo quit within 6 months, blacklisted in the industry for creating workplace drama. Shen Zhijin grew more reclusive, devoting himself to work. At annual shareholder meetings, my father sent me to represent him. Afterward, Shen Zhijin would insist on dropping by to pay respects to my parents. Our son adored him, taught secretly to call him Baba. Shen Zhijin never refused his hugs, gazing at him with aching tenderness. During Lunar New Year, he'd cancel all plans to stay with us. Once, he hinted at reconciliation. I declined, better to have nothing than substandard choice. Now the boy insists on sitting between us, chanting Mama and Baba happily. I sweat his head to stop the nonsense, but Shen Zhijin only tears up, speechless with regret. Some apologies arrived too late.